was a typo, and I'm like, welcome to Conversing Movie Night. I am Jared. I'm here with Robert. What's up, brother?
Not too bad, not too bad.
So today we are going to begin our discussions of the entire DCEU with the movie that started it all, Man of Steel, directed by Zack Snyder, our Lord and Savior. I'm only kidding.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
I'm only kidding. And what's up, Parker? What's up, Cameron? So yeah, so let's start with this. So to establish the context for this movie, the Nolan movies had come out, and WB came to Nolan. He's like, hey, can you do that for Superman? And he goes, yeah, I'll produce it. But if you give the directorial duties to Zack Snyder, he will do for Superman what I did for Batman, which is a hell of an endorsement.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about this. One of the things that I think this movie does that the others don't and haven't as of yet is its focus on Krypton.
Yeah. The original one did.
No, but it didn't spend this much time with Krypton is my point.
Yeah. First one was like the first 30 minutes, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, because here's how I know that. This movie got criticized for its focus on Krypton.
True.
And here's the thing. Here's why they had to do that. Because the movie starts off on Krypton. There's a lot of Kryptonian stuff. Because the thesis of this movie, the whole debate here, is centered around Krypton.
Yes. I will agree with that.
That's why you have to do that. Plus, it's cool seeing Kryptonian culture and stuff explored in this. So the movie opens up. First off, we have one of the best castings of Jor-El, I think, ever in Russell Crowe. Like,
yep, definitely. Russell Crowe. I will not argue that at all.
Because here's the thing: to play Jor-El, you have to have like grandeur and a certain like. Essentially, you have to have the voice of a god, kind of. And
well,
wait, hang on.
All the hopes and dreams of Krypton live in you now.
Hey, Teladia, what's up, brother? And he's loading. Loading. He's okay. There you are. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. So we just started. So you're just in time. And actually, I want to start with you. So, Man of Steel, what did you think of like how focused this movie was on Krypton?
I thought it was very well focused on Krypton because the core elements were Krypton and its people, and it was like I was like, okay, the big thing was the Codex.
Yeah.
So, like, because every living thing that Krypton had was in that Codex.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting that how things took place in Man of Steel.
Yeah, the thing about it, and Robert, has the Codex ever been a thing in the comics, or was this a Man of Steel thing?
Oh, it's a Man of Steel thing for the most part. The closest, at least as far as the way it's like all of the coding of all of Krypton, yes. The only thing closest would have been the Eradicator, but for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea of the Codex is...
It's original, yeah.
Yeah, the idea of the Codex is essentially when you... So for most of Krypton's history in this universe, it was established that like you were born and genetically engineered for a particular role. If you're supposed to be like a shopkeeper or like an academic or a politician or a warrior. Cal was the first natural birth in centuries from what they call it. And that
to the
is
point where Zod would call it heresy.
Yeah, exactly. And in this, so you have this you have essentially. So I actually thought the Codex. Yeah, it probably was that. Cameron.
Except no, the Eradicator though is what kept everyone on Krypton.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a big difference. The Eradicator was designed to keep everyone on Krypton, and Jor-El had to remove it from Cal so he could leave.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the time of Supergirl, that was already retconned out.
Now, what's cool is that if you look at like the sky shot of Krypton, you'll see like a destroyed moon. So what that is, that's what happened with the original Doomsday. No, it's not Zod Doomsday is not Doomsday.
Right.
They just called it that as like a
Which I will give props. They kept the idea that Doomsday was a Kryptonian made thing. Only in the comics it wasn't directly Kryptonian.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It's like that's why when people say Zach didn't read comics at all, or like the people behind the DCU in this case didn't read comics at all, I'm like, they're getting too much right in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
That's the, you could disagree with the choices they did with that knowledge, but there's too much. They're
like Kellex and everything.
Yeah. So there's Kellex, and we open with Jor-El. He's arguing with the council and saying, listen, we mine the core of Krypton. It's gonna explode. Give me access to the E-Codex, and I'll send it into space. So
which to be fair, that's also an original demise.
Yeah. So because if I remember correctly in the comics, one of them was when Brainiac grabbed Kandor, that destabilized the core.
No, actually, that was later made clear. No, he didn't destabilize Krypton's sun. He could have, but he already knew it was coming anyway.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I think they played with that in the Krypton show. That's where
they did play within the Krypton show, and in post-crisis, it was a terrorist attack that sent something down to Krypton, but it would have taken generations before it actually would trigger. By that point, no one believed and would have thought anything. It was so long since then, and no one thought it was anything wrong.
And then Rogol Zara showed up and ruined everything.
Anyway, okay, separate.
I had to. So then Zod approaches, and he does, and he's doing a coup, which is what Zod does in movies and stuff. So it's like, okay, it's cool. And again, speaking of casting, Michael Shannon as Zod is incredible.
Yep. Now, may I? Yep.
Real quick, say what you want to say about the DCU plots. The casting is perfect on all of these roles.
I will agree. I still would prefer Terrence Stamp, but I think what Shannon did was still gave his own, well, no pun intended, stamp on it.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, I think that what they wanted to do, because here's the thing. When Terrence played Zod in the original movies, he was closer to Reeves' age. So it's like, you kind of, I like that dynamic where Zod is not significantly older than Superman.
Right. By the way, was NJ's comment that if you could show it,
would overcomplicate a little.
It would overcomplicate things, and the Daxamites never had any interactions directly with Krypton until it was later made clear. Turns out they were Kryptonians, but they from a long distant past.
Yeah. And by Hunter, I'm doing very well. And yes, Cameron, he played it really well. Yeah, I will find him.
I will find him.
That was so great. I love that. So what we discover, Jor-El escapes, and he goes to where the Codex is held, and he retrieves it because he's going to do it anyway. Because he's like, no, our planet's blowing up. We're lost. Let's send our son to a planet so Krypton's legacy lives on, but he can bridge the two, and they kind of get into that later in the movie. So he shows up, and then of course it's always heartbreak. The part that's always heartbreaking that kind of gets me teary-eyed is whenever I see the images, whenever we get to the part where they're sending their son away, because they'll never see him alive again. And I love where she goes, he'll be a freak to them, they'll kill him. How? He'll be a god to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And Hunter, we're talking about the movie right now. I'm not gonna comment on James Gunn's DCEU right now. So then, what you get is, so Zod shows up, and then he actually fights Jor-El. Now, here's the thing: those suits that they're wearing are CGI. I did not know that.
I had a feeling.
There's some of it, but it's you get the fight, and at first Jor-El actually overcomes Zod, and the implication is that maybe since Zod and Jor-El were friends, maybe Zod taught him how to fight and such. So that's believable. I could buy that. And so he said, Cal is sent away, and in his frustration, Zod kills Jor-El.
Mm-hmm.
So then the coup is stopped. And then this is where we get the "I will find him," which is essentially Zod and his people are put in these pods. I know what they look like. I'm not acknowledging that. Are sent into a prison ship and sent into essentially the Phantom Zone. And and then we get the shot of Krypton exploding. And I love the image. First off, of Laura saying, "Make a better world, Cal," and the image of like the fire shooting up in the sky as she just looks at it and she's consumed. The planet blows up. Cal is about to crash on Earth, and then it just cuts to him being like a regular dude on a fishing ship. And this is one of the things I love about this movie, because a criticism of Snyder versus Superman is that he never saves people, and I go, he literally does. Even before he's Superman, he's saving people. That's what this part is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So now, and then we get the scene where like he saves he saves these people on a burning oil rig, and he's like holding up that thing, and the helicopter guys are like, "Oh my god, what is that guy doing?" Because again, remember, metahumans aren't publicly known yet, so they're like, "Is he holding up that ship?"
Yep.
And it was like, no. And then we get the scene where like he falls into the ocean. And we get the flashback. And Teladia, I'll ask you and then Robert about this. What did you think about the way they showed his powers manifesting and how scary that is?
I personally think that was a bit scary, but at the same time, I thought it was really cool to see his powers manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
But then I gotta say though, when he landed in the ocean, it made me really want to think that Aquaman was going to be in it.
Yeah, that was the theory going around at the time, that Aquaman is what saved him. So I'm like, yeah. What about you, Robert? What do you think of the way they showed his powers manifesting in this?
I liked it for the most part. Just it's the direction of everything else afterwards. The way the powers went the first though, I did like.
Yeah,
I did like it was trying to go for something different, more grounded, more realistic. But not going for Smallville, of course.
No, exactly. And I love this scene where he's in the closet, and I don't mean it that way.
I know. It's too loud.
Yeah.
It's too big.
Yeah, and Martha Kent says, "Then make the world small." And they will significantly expand on this, even in Batman versus Superman. And we'll talk about that when we talk about that movie, because that's the thing about Zack. Hey, what's up, Thoth? What Zack does well is introducing a plot point and then paying it off in a later movie.
Right, exactly.
That's one of the things he does really well. But anyway, so then we see like the school bus scene where like he saves people on the school bus. Even Pete Ross, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robert. Does Pete Ross start off as a bully in the comics?
No, never.
Okay, he's always a friend. Well, in this, he's not really a bully per se. He's just like an a-hole, and then eventually, hey, we start. They become friends. So I kind of like how they did that.
Yeah.
But then we get the scene that everyone gets wrong. So we get the scene. So. First, to establish the context, I need to establish the context here. It's when we see Pete's mom is talking and saying that it was an act of God, Jonathan. That's what they're going for. And then Jonathan Kent comes outside, sees Clark, and goes, "We talked about this." Like, you saw how she reacted to that. That's the way the world's going to react if they find out who you are. And all right. This is the key part here, is that when you get to him saying, "What is it supposed to do? Just let them die?" And then Jonathan Kent says, maybe what he means is that he doesn't have the answers, because he's in an environment totally outside of Jonathan Kent's wheelhouse.
No, and I understand that, but the trailer definitely didn't help setting that up anyway. And even when you saw, people were going to give a chance, but when you saw it, you're like, "Oh, it is what we saw." because yes, there's the implication, but there are some cases where not going further gives the wrong idea. It's why you didn't like maybe I don't know. Sometimes you need that, otherwise maybe nothing can give other implications.
Well, and they did expand on that in a later scene in the movie. But anyway, so Teladia, what did you think of the like school bus scene?
I thought that was really, really well done, and I think it was it Zach's daughter that was in that scene as well?
Let me see. That's I don't know. Let me see. Man of Steel. Let's see. Actually, it's looking like it was that. Yeah, she in Man of Steel, Autumn Snyder's voice is featured in two separate instances saying the phrase "uh-oh." Okay, interesting. I think people are so used to Jonathan having the answer that when maybe seen, that could be true as well. And what people forget is that the maybe scene or like do not use your powers, that is legit a Golden Age comic. Like maybe. It's a page. I have the page in one of my like trades.
All right.
So it's like people saying no version of Jonathan Kent would say that. I'm like,
Okay, but if you can pick one, that doesn't mean then one exists, so that means we should be allowed to use it.
Yeah, but if you read well, even post-crisis Clark, while he's Jonathan, while he's not like as in your face with this, he does say, "Don't be willy-nilly with this. You really need to choose your moment."
Yeah. Basically, he said, once you let the cat out of the bag, there's no putting it back in. Which that's a much more a statement people usually do understand.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
You know, when you hear people say, once you let the cat out of the bag, or once you let the genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back in.
Yeah, exactly. So then what you get,
which almost sounds like a farmer's thing to say too.
There you go. That kind of helps there. So then we get introduced to Lois, and I like this version of Lois where like she goes, or like she's helped off the helicopter by Clark, mind you. She doesn't know it yet, but it's Superman. But she go, one of the soldiers goes, I gotta say, I loved your embedded work when you were with the military, and then she goes, what can I say? I get writer's block if I'm not wearing a flak jacket.
Which
I like that.
I like the line, and again, I want to make it clear. I have nothing against Amy Adams, all right? Nothing at all. I thought with what she was given, she did fine. I just didn't get as much of the fiery Lois Lane as for example, I would get with Rachel or other Loises.
That's probably why I like Amy Adams as Lois, though.
True. I got more sweetheart than I got fiery.
Well, you could say maybe, but she also got a little more fiery in like Batman versus Superman, where like that one terrorist that she's interviewing goes, I didn't know they'd be sending a woman. He goes, I'm not a woman, I'm a journalist.
That's true, but going just on Man of Steel.
She still got that where like even when she's trying to leak the story to that news source, and he goes, didn't you once call my site a like putrid pile of half truths? He goes, yeah, I stand by my words.
True. Again,
she wasn't as in your face as traditional Lois. I get that.
Yeah.
That's why I like this version more.
Hey, that's fair. Again, that's why I'm saying. I'm not saying they were bad. I want to make this very clear. Yeah. There's a lot of this movie it's like little things for me that pile up. That's with a lot of my issues here. These are I didn't like that the writers went that direction, or a bunch of little choices that pile up, and I'm just like, ugh, I get it, I like it, it's just not my thing.
Okay, and that's totally fine, bro. That's totally fine. And as Sage brings up, in the movies, I think this is the first Lois that actually just figures out in one movie who he is.
Well, no, in most cases, it's the first time she figured it out right away outside of Elseworlds, period.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because again, the writer decided to just have it be because this was a Clark who didn't even try to cover things up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which,
and Tevye,
again,
we'll get to that point in the movie later, but we're not on that part in the movie yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying no. Yeah. But that was the other thing, though. If he's trying to not put it in the let it out of the bag yet, he's doing a sloppy job at it.
Yeah, but remember, she addresses that later when they're at the grave, and he goes, the only way for you to completely like keep your identity secret is to stop helping people, and that's not an option with you.
Exactly. Oh, and I get that. I'm just saying, though, there have been cases of him being able to do it and yet cover his tracks pretty well, decently. At least enough that they wouldn't make it to her and make it to him. But
isn't that like comics where people have a suspension of disbelief when you're going off of a universe that's supposed to be more grounded and more true to life? That doesn't necessarily work that well.
But you also have a man who has super strength, super speed, and
no, but he's placed in a world that's supposed to be our world. That's my point.
True. Fair enough.
Yeah. So then what you get is, and we're not up to that part to everybody, but we will talk about the flying scene because that's awesome.
Yeah, we're going in order, Tevye. We're not jumping around.
Yeah. So then what you get is obviously what the military discovers. Actually, you know, at first we have this other scene that upset people for some reason. Is Clark is working in a bar. He overhears like the Canadians talking about this like object in the ice or something like that, and then we have this bar patron that's being an a-hole. And then Superman goes off, asks him to leave, and then the dude, I love this scene. The dude tries to shove Clark, and he just gets knocked back because it's Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then people got upset that Superman went out and put like logs in his truck. And I go, but you guys praised in Superman 2 when he went back to that dude in the bar and beat him up because he had powers.
That that other people did not like. There's just many people who did not like that original.
I've never seen that.
Oh, I have. I've seen there are people who did not like that scene at all.
I've never seen either.
Yeah, well, there is no, but here's the thing: it's like because a lot of these people take one small detail and say it redeems the entire iteration of the characters. So I'm like, where's your consistency here? If there's consistency, I'm fine with that. I personally haven't seen that.
Yep, I have seen like some, not a lot.
It's like the people who claim they complain about Michael Keaton killing, and I go, I've never seen you guys complain about that. I've never seen people complain about
that. I have seen. It's more of a case where, similar to so much of the other stuff, it's done so quick and you'll miss it or very briefly that you're like,
puts a grenade in someone's pants.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. But then it just moves on, doesn't dwell on it. I have always had a problem. I have never, and I know I've seen plenty of people who are saying, no, come on. That's why when people say, you know, like he's done the other movies, I've seen a lot of people say he shouldn't have done it then either. I rarely see people say, oh, that's an exception. I do not. I usually people say.
But again, Robert, these are the people that treat that just because Affleck kills in the next movie, he's a terrible Batman. And I go, by your logic, Keaton's a shitty Batman.
To which I'll tell you this: in my eyes, I feel Affleck was a great Batman. I'm just tired of the movies feeling like he should kill.
Well, and that's what I tell people. It's like the idea of superheroes killing in the movies. That's not new. It's like
MCU made that too normal.
Yeah, so it's like that's not a Zack Snyder problem. That's a Hollywood problem. But anyway, back to the movies. So we get the scene with the logs, and here's the thing: it's like I get why people are upset, but it's like this is one of those occasions where like who cares,
right?
But anyway, continuing on. So what we see here is I really love that for right now his heat vision isn't like a laser beam. It's more like his eyes are glowing and then it's like everything around him just melts. And I love where he's like burning a tunnel deep into the ice straight to the ship.
Yep.
I love that. And then he shows up in the ship, meets what I assume is Kellex, and he has that little key that tells him, hey, I'm Kryptonian. Lois follows him, as she normally does, and then gets attacked. And I love this scene where like he cauterizes her bleed and goes, this is gonna hurt. And there's like the eyes go red, and she's like, what the hell?
Yep.
I just love that. Then the ship takes off, and then she's deposited on the ice, and she's trying to like leak the story. And then this is where we also meet another fantastic casting, Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White.
Oh yeah, that was. I would say there was. Okay, I'll just put it this way. I'm nothing against the casting, but I didn't see Perry whenever he was acting. The writing never felt Perry. It just felt like generic newsman named Perry White.
All right, that's fair enough.
For me,
I can get you.
Perry does have a distinct personality. It's not as big and bombastic as Jameson, but he does have a specific personality type. And here, he was just generic newsman.
What do you think, Teladia, of Lawrence Fishburne as Perry?
Well, Lawrence Fishburne, I thought he was a really cool Perry White, very different to the 1970s.
Yeah.
So, and it was definitely different. I wasn't expecting it, but it was unique because he was like one of those bosses that if you get into trouble, you get into trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
He was a strict boss. And here's the thing. I'll talk about this more when we get to Batman versus Superman, but it's implied, maybe inadvertently implied, that by Batman versus Superman, he knows who Clark Kent is.
Possibly.
There's some implication. I'll talk about the evidence on that when we talk about BVS, but there was something when I was watching this and I was like, oh, wait a minute. That is actually very interesting.
Again, no argument on that, but you get why I know it sounds like I'm going to be the one who's overly critical of this whole video or whole stream. I don't want to come up like that. It's just
long as you admit that there's some stuff this movie does right, you're good.
There is plenty of stuff this does right. And like I said, Lawrence Fishburne wasn't a bad choice. It just wasn't Perry.
Yeah.
It felt like they made him so grounded, realistic. They just made him be a typical head of a newspaper, and not who Perry White should be.
Yeah, I'll give you.
Perry White should be
again.
Yeah.
But then again, be careful, Robert, because these characters have existed for like 80 years. It should be.
But
there's many different versions of these characters, though.
But rarely, but the ones where he's just a generic newsman are the most forgettable.
It doesn't matter if they're the most forgettable; they still exist.
It just didn't feel worthy of Lawrence Fishburne's talent.
That's better. That's better.
It wasn't worthy of his talent. I feel like he could have given us an actual, I'll say Superman Returns had the same problem. Great actor, generic Perry.
Okay, I'll give you that. So then, so essentially, Perry.
My standard for Perry is Lois and Clark.
Okay, that's believable.
That's my standard.
So Perry tells Lois to drop it because he's like, do you have any idea how people will react if they think that someone like this exists? And I'm like, and then he tells her to drop it. And Lois, and this is a very Lois Lane thing to do, leaks it to a journalist because she's like, no, the story should be told. And I'm like, that's a good thing Lois does.
Oh, yeah, but then that would be a case where Perry would not have been as mad like he was afterwards. That's the case where he was like, he was not happy that she went behind him like that. Whereas traditionally, Perry would have been like, not happy. Legally, I'm not happy, but you did a good job.
All right, whatever. But
sorry, again, that's what I'm used to. I'm used to.
And then what we see, so we get to the ship, to the Kryptonian ship, and this is something where I think they could have done this in Man of Steel 2. If obviously Zack could be able to do this, the ship becomes the Fortress of Solitude.
That's what I kept thinking.
Yeah, it's like they had that set up, and even after they crashed the ship into Metropolis later in the movie, they definitely could have, like, he puts the ship back, and then it's like, hey, this is my force of solitude, because you even have the AI Jor-El that takes him through everything, takes him through Krypton's history about how Cal was like Krypton's first natural birth in centuries, and then he goes, what if a child could choose how he or she wants to grow up? That's the cool thing about this, the element of choice.
Yep, I would say this. I think obviously, in the moment, what happens towards the end to the AI is what sealed the fate.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like they could have like redone that or something. Like there's some ways that they could retcon that out. Like maybe as soon as Zod set foot in the ship, the AI made a copy of himself or something.
Something like that. Yeah,
they could have. But
they could have. Yes.
What I love about this scene is this scene, particularly when he shows the suit and explains what the House of L logo means, at least in this universe and some of the comics. This summarizes who Superman is. The fundamental, and he goes, the sum of the House of L means hope, and embodied in that hope is the belief that every person has the potential to do good. That is why Superman always like has faith in like Lex Luthor or someone else, because he goes, no, everyone has the potential to do good.
Yep.
And I'm like, that is perfect. The suit comes out, and I love the texture of the Snyderverse Superman suits, because. And Zach talks about this. One of the things they wanted to do with like it having little like bumps is he wanted to look like chainmail, like he's a knight. And with the no trunks, at least Zach said he tried to keep the trunks, but it's like there wasn't a version at the time that thinks really well.
Especially with what they were going with, I would agree.
Yeah, and Tavia. We talked about that early in the stream, but I take it you weren't here. But
yeah, I don't think it was not at that point. No.
Yeah. Jor-El was great in this, and the whole scene. Then we get to the first flight scene, which is the scene that everyone remembers this movie for. Let's face it. It is the first they homage the leaping tall buildings in a single bound, where all he can do is jump, which I love how they do that. And then it's like, you will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive for. They will stumble, they will fall, but they will join you in the sun. That is my favorite line in the Snyderverse of all time. And then he jumps. Now, Teladia and then Robert, what'd you guys think of the flight scene?
I really think it was really epic, and honestly, probably one of the best scenes from the DCEU.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one.
In a long time, so...
Yeah, they treated it like mythology, and that's exactly what Zach was trying to go for. But how about you, Robert? What'd you think of like Jor-El's speech, the flight scene, and all that stuff?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I'll be honest, that was the most Reeves-like that I think the Snyderverse ever got, was that scene.
Okay,
What I mean is the majesticness of what Reeves films had.
Yeah, exactly.
And having the father give the speech and everything, the joy. People saying Superman never smiled. Yeah. He was smiling when he was flying. He's like, yeah.
He smiled in this movie many times. He smiled in the Snyder cut when Steppenwolf hit him with an axe. He's like, is that all you got?
Yeah. So yeah. But like I said, that's what, again, I'm making that comparison, saying that's the most like it this movie got, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally good. So yeah, I really dug this scene. It's like, the way the music plays, the way everything like lines up is so good. And
and the music too really adds to the majesticness.
Yeah, and actually there was a comicbook.com article that just came out that says that praises the soundtrack of Gunn's Superman, but says that Snyder's music was more emotional.
All right.
Which it's like, okay, that's like a preference thing, and that's fine. It's not saying that Gunn's music was bad, to be sure. It's not anything like that. And by NJ, she did have that in Wonder Woman, and we'll talk about that movie as well. So.
The no man's land scene.
That was her first flight scene. Let's face it.
Yes, it was. I mean, the music, everything.
It was so, and Okay, briefly, I'm going to talk about this. They could have easily done a, for lack of a better term, woke line when Steve says, "No man can cross this," and she goes, "I am no man." They could have easily done that. The fact that they didn't, she goes, where Steve goes, "This isn't what we came here to do," and Diana goes, "No, but it's what I'm going to do." I'm like, "Yep, that's it. That's good. I'm fine with that. That works."
Yep.
But back to this. I like how you see Lois like recounting Superman's steps and then finding him at like the grave of like Jonathan Kent. And this is where we get was probably the most, comparatively, the most controversial part of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you compare it to like the Zod killing, this is the most controversial part. And before we talk about this scene, I want to be clear. Even I am one of the biggest Snyderverse fans there are. I can tell you the scene could have been done a lot better.
Right.
I get what the scene is going for, and I agree with it. It's just like there could have been more from a filmmaking perspective to imply there's no way he could have saved Jonathan Kent.
Yeah. By the way, I want to make the correct NJ on something like this. Actually, you're half wrong.
She can fly in the DCEU.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's other versions where she can't.
Yeah, that's the thing about Wonder Woman. They don't necessarily do a lot of like consistency with her character.
Some versions of it be she can fly, but she still flies the jet because she likes to fly. That's one thing DC Sonic made clear. But other cases, she can't and she needs the jet. So
it's like in some versions she's bulletproof, in some versions she's not.
Exactly. There is a little bit of inconsistency. But yeah, can I give my thoughts, just get it out of the way?
Go ahead.
This scene really got me. It felt like, okay, it's two levels. The obvious was John Kent, but even beforehand, yes, you have the whole, you have to make a choice and everything. And here's how it felt to me. It felt like by this point, Jonathan was going to make sure he would do anything in his powers to prevent Clark from making a choice. Mm-hmm. It felt like he's like, "You're staying here. I'm not going to let you out of my sight." Mm-hmm. If that's what it felt like, and I'm like, "No, Jonathan, no."
Okay.
That's what it felt like that, and that's what made the fact that he died afterwards for the secret come off even more disingenuous, because it felt like he did it because he wanted to make sure he had his way. I know it's kind of more malicious, but when I rewatched it, those thoughts repopped in my head recently. It felt like, nope, you're gonna still stay.
Yeah, and NJ, I don't think always is the proper phrasing for that, because again, there have been versions recently where she wasn't able to fly.
Right. But like I said, and then of course you had the fact that Jonathan's right there, ran up there. It's like he gets to go and be the hero to save the dog, and then it's like, "No, son, don't save me." Even though it's like, there's ways he could do it. Now you can make the argument he doesn't have a speed yet. We don't know one way or the other.
He doesn't know. Now that's an occasion where, and Cameron brings up a good point. If they had actually had dialogue where he goes, "I don't know if any other powers are going to show up. I don't know if this is it." So it's like he doesn't know if he has.
But we don't know that.
Yeah.
Well, we know he has a speed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the occasions where I'm like, you didn't necessarily have to change everything about the scene or add more stuff. If you had just had that line of dialogue, it would have been easier to palate, I think.
Yep. But you got what I was saying about the first part, right? About how Jonathan was coming off.
A little bit. Yeah, exactly. I'll agree there. What'd you think, Teladia, about the tornado scene? And Teladia?
Teladia?
Are you there?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all good. So what'd you think of the tornado scene from Man of Steel?
I felt bad because I was just like what's the word I'm looking for? Clark was like he wanted to save his father. His father was like, "No, you can't, because you could reveal yourself, right?" And also, what was interesting is how Jonathan died, right? It was like he couldn't move, like his foot. I still don't understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a car slamming over top of another car.
Mm-hmm.
How did that trap him? If you know what I mean.
Well, what
He hurt
happened
his
was,
leg. He hurt his leg. He wasn't going to make him. He couldn't go any faster.
yeah, I think what happened is that when he went into the car to get the dog, another car smashed into the car he was in, and it pinned his leg.
Or I think it hurt his leg. He
Yeah,
was starting to
that's it.
limp. I was
Yeah.
like, I ain't going to go any further.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's what it was. It was a case of like, I ain't going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
but when he told his son, before that, make sure everyone gets into the underpass and whatnot, I was just like, yep, that makes sense. But I wish there was a way for him to save his father, even if there was one thing you could do, like a blur type of thing in small.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
would have been nice.
That's why it feels like there should have been more debris or cars down there, or maybe have it be that Paul was pinned down.
Well, here's the other thing, though. Even if they did, all right, here's the problem. Everyone is looking in that direction at Jonathan Kent. Everyone and here's the thing. People say, what's a small town? You don't know all those people are from Smallville. It could have been someone just driving through, and then all of a sudden,
True. That's true.
They're like,
Hey.
look, this
Yeah.
dude with like power saved someone. Hey, what's up, Tristan? How you doing?
Hey, Tress. Yep, nerds. We're a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, exactly. And proud of it. But yeah, so that's my point. It's the point where, for me at least, I support the scene. I know what the story point is trying to tell. Could it have been improved a little bit? Yes. I 100% agree.
And I will just say this. This is a case of the aura-ing was done overboard.
He wasn't aura-ing, though.
No, I'm talking about the bit of the Paul putting his arm up and all that. Like, no. Okay, maybe I don't know what the word aura-ing means.
Yeah, it's like when Superman is like posing very heroically as stuff is happening.
All right. Then I was thinking about him putting the arm up and everything that moment.
No, so and then it cuts back to Superman explaining it to Lois, and he basically says, "My father died because he was convinced that the mankind was not ready for me to reveal myself yet." And I'm like, okay, I get that, and that's true. It's like, because again, what people keep forgetting is that this is not supposed to be like this way. This scene definitely under no circumstances would have worked in the James Gunn Superman movie. Like, no, because that world is more of the comic book world where like you can believe all this stuff.
It's like this way. Zack's version was the DC universe after Dr. Manhattan got his hands on it. Gunn's was what it was after he put it back.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, so let's do that. Which so you're telling me, oh God, that the DCU is Rebirth? Oh no.
No, I'm not saying directly Rebirth. I'm just saying it's the post-Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Which isn't Rebirth.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, maybe it's the end of Rebirth. But anyway, so then essentially we get who would later be revealed to be Martian Manhunter. I love that. All of a sudden we start seeing the world, the Kryptonian ship essentially appear, and everyone's like, wait, what is this? Is this like some kind of some type of thing? Superman is watching the TV when all of a sudden the alien invasion, you are not alone, and it's being broadcast on every language throughout the world, which is super creepy but good. And all of a sudden you hear, my name is General Zod. You have a citizen on the planet that's like a fugitive. You will bring him to me. And I go, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, what Michael Shannon brings to the role is like he communicates the evil and oddly like genocidal Zod really well, because it's like when he talks and says and just like talks and says the minor thing, there's that idea, there's that small tinge of I'm gonna murder you in his voice a little bit. So that's why I'm like, I really dig Shannon as Zod. So so then Superman goes to like well, first off, Lois is named by the guy that she leaked the story to as like the source of who knows where Superman is. So she's taken by the government. At the same time, Superman doesn't know like if he can trust God, so he goes to a church.
Oh,
This is the other thing that people had issues with, but I'm like, I have no issues with this.
it's not so much I have issues with it per se. I just prefer the Moses allegory as opposed to the Christ one.
Which that's fine, but they still have that in this. That's the thing.
Right, but there's so many people put emphasis on Christ.
Which they've always had that in the comics too, even beyond, even before Zack. So it's like they started to move away.
Oh no, I know. That's why I always prefer Moses.
And then, by the way, Robert, where is this priest from in the comics?
For tomorrow.
I know, right?
So wait, does it mean if they continued, he would have become an OMAC prototype?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what? Or is he? What was the name of that creature that he mutated into in For Tomorrow?
No, that was OMAC he turned into. You're see about the other guy he fought.
No, because
no, he didn't turn into anyone. Except for OMAC at the very end.
Or turned him into something.
No, he turned him into OMAC. You're seeing about that other wild match guy. That was not the priest.
Hang on.
Yeah, it was OMAC at the very end.
I gotta consult my graphic novels. Hang on.
I got mine.
All right, hang on. Let me see this. All right, and yes, for tomorrow, it's a very well drawn book.
Hold on.
Let me see. I was fairly certain it was an OMAC.
It was OMAC at the very end.
Let me see. So he turns them. Okay. Another book that involves Zod, by the way.
Even though the Zod made no sense.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Where is this? Because it's the priest.
They don't flat out say OMAC, but it's so painfully OMAC. Everything about it says OMAC.
Okay, I see it. Hang on. So he's turning into.
And they somehow weaponized his cancer.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, in the For Tomorrow book, this priest Father Leone had cancer, and he was kind of going through a crisis of faith. The same time Superman is, and then this guy named Mr. Orr shows up. He's like a government agent, and he basically says, "Hey, I can cure your cancer and make you strong."
And we're gonna put this mystical blade from Wonder Woman into you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let me see this.
Yep, one-man Army Corps, version 4.
Okay. Sorry, I thought it was. There's so much stuff happening in that book.
See, look.
Okay, I see it. Yeah, that's good. That works. Okay, so let me. Is everything good? Yeah. All right. And by the way, Mask of Shy says Moses fits only at the origin point, as a baby, adopted by other cultures, but that's it. Unless someone thinks Superman freed people to give them a new law from a heavenly place. That's
true, but we don't have until we get to the death. Superman never did the whole. He sacrificed us for our sins.
Yeah, but he still did a lot of like T-posing in space a lot of the times in the comics, so it's like they went away from that Moses thing fairly.
True, but I just don't care for the heavy-handedness of I am Jesus.
But yeah. So anyway, the other guy. So Father Leone makes the point of like so Superman says Zod can't be trusted, but I'm not sure mankind can too. And then Father Leone says sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith. The trust part comes later. I love that.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So then I like where he shows up, and the general, and this is the meme of this movie. They put handcuffs on Superman, and Superman's like, it makes them feel better.
Yep. Oh, by the way, caveat, don't worry, it's confusing even if you read the story.
Yeah, don't worry if you're.
It's a Zod that came out of nowhere, made no explanation whatsoever, and at the end never got retconned immediately afterwards. Was Jeff Johns and Richard Donner's take.
Yeah, and so what's kind of cool is in the interrogation scene by Sotevia, what do you think about? Teladia, looking back on this scene and then thinking that's Martian Manhunter, and doesn't it kind of change the way you look at this?
Yeah, it does make me think. It doesn't. what I was gonna say is what
Yeah.
you just said. What you just said now, it just makes me change a lot about how to look at this in the perspective now that it's another alien
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
living among
exactly.
us.
Particularly when Superman says, "Let's put our cards on the table." Generally, just tears open the handcuffs.
Yep.
That's
But
so good. Yeah,
and it makes you wonder. So did he know?
and I think Superman did know, and he's like,
It was like, right? It was like, you have your secret, I have mine.
it's not up to me to like essentially, for lack of a better term, out you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So that's kind of the way they go with that. And then he's like, "Look, I've been ordered to hand you in." And then Superman goes, "Do what you need to do, General." And then I like where again, there's a lot of Lois parts in this movie. I like. Shocker. I know, but I like when Superman says, "Thank you for believing in me," and then Lois says, "All the good, all the good it did," and then Superman said, it did to me, and I'm like, okay, I dig that. And
Yep.
then Feora shows up, takes Superman and Lois to the ship. And I like how Superman has been on Earth for so much longer that he's not used to Kryptonian atmosphere. So he's coughing up. He's like, I feel strange. It's like, and then he gets knocked out. And then Zod explains his plan. He goes, look, man, by the way, the scene of them on the bridge looking out upon Earth, there's a part of me that's like, if they continued, maybe they would have repaired this thing or like found another one, and then it would have turned into the Watchtower for the Justice League.
Oh wow.
There's part of it where I'm like, okay, I kind of see what this could have been. But anyway, Zod explains his plan. He goes, look, we're going to rebuild Krypton here, and you are going to like hand me the codex. So he obviously,
And he's like, "But what about people here?" Well, it has to be built on something.
yeah, exactly. And I like how we see the Man of Steel suit and the black suit, and I go, oh, okay, that's kind of cool because most suits on Krypton are black, are like undersuits. That's the other thing that this movie did really well. It explained what the Superman suit is. It's an undersuit essentially for like all the armor.
Exactly, because we see that with Zod at the end.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, that's I like how Zach gave like some explanations on stuff that I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I dig that. That's cool. So then, so Lois has the command key that like Superman snuck her. So she plugs it in, and then Jor-El is like plugs into the ship, and I love where so Superman is being like interrogated, and they're running blood tests. This is the type of aura farming I love. It's when Jor-El says, plug me in and I'll revert the atmosphere to Earth's atmosphere. So I love where Superman just looks at the dude and just gets up and he goes, you messed up, bro. I just love that. The way he looks at him. And then obviously Lois escapes in a pod. And then this is where Superman explains, Jor-El explains to Superman the whole thing. He goes, look, yes, Zod can bring Krypton back, but here's the thing. And this is where like this is the other part about like Jor-El that I really like is where he goes, look, essentially he says he foreshadows a line that said later Krypton had its chance and we screwed up. But it's like with you can be the bridge, you can lead them and guide them so that they don't turn out like us. And this is straight from All-Star Superman, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Although I gotta say, it did the fact you want to say you can be the bridge. What happens later? Oh, great job there. But it's like you guys missed what they were saying. But I do still get a snicker out of what they're saying. They're like, if you look at it from the surface, it does come off funny.
Yeah, exactly. So then he saves Lois, and then this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. Zod shows up at the Kent farm, and he goes, where's the codex? And then Superman just barrels through Zod, goes, you think you can mess with my mother? And I'm like, yes.
Then right into a gas tank and right into other buildings.
Yeah, and now here's the thing. I know people like to complain about the destruction. I have 2 points on that. Number one, read a freaking comic book. Number two, This is Superman that has never been in a fight before against people that are roughly his power level.
Now, here's one thing. It's interesting that they do the reverse of what they usually do, where they take a while to get used to it, and Superman is the one who's like, I've got this. But in this case, instead of like, oh, we're military, we can learn faster than you.
Yeah, it's like...
Which I feel like that works, but at the same time, I just feel like...
Because here's the thing, they're warriors, and of course they're like trained to like overcome stuff and like.
Oh no, I get that. Just like I said, it's both sides.
Yeah, Tavia, it's because the Codex was on Earth.
Oh no. Here's the other reason. There's a better reason.
Yeah.
It's because and it's there encoded into them. It's like, why bother going anyone else? This place is right here. And they are programmed to think about Krypton, nothing else. So even if they wanted to, they are genetically programmed to not care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think even I can acknowledge that. They were genetically programmed to not even, they just do the very first thing that comes. And this planet right here, might as good as any.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get the Smallville fight, which again, Superman saves people. He tells them, get inside, get away from the windows. He basically tells them, get out of here.
And wow, all the product placement.
Yeah, which helped them make. But by the time the movie was released, they had already made the production,
which was needed because they added in all the other failed attempts.
That's when people criticize this movie for that. I'm like, guys, when you understand the context, you get why they did it.
Mm-hmm.
But so the whole fight happened, which I love this fight. The other thing I love, this foreshadows something. So when Superman kills Zod, people are like, why couldn't he put his hand over Zod's eyes? They show you why this doesn't happen.
This version of Heat Vision is way more dangerous.
And here's the thing. Here's what they literally show in the movie. So Superman is fighting Feora and Non. Feora knocks him down, puts her hand on his eye. And this is the first time the heat vision that Superman has manifests as a laser beam. He just shoves it away.
By the way, Dave, I strongly disagree with that.
People will be discussing it now. So I don't know. Again, we'll see. But anyway, so that's the thing. That's what I really like about like Zack's movies particularly. He sets stuff up that is paid off later, even in the movie. So it's like with
good director does that.
Yeah, he's like, that's why you don't. That's why he couldn't put, because of course Zack thought, why couldn't he put his eyes over Zod's eyes, his hand over Zod's eyes? That's not going to work.
Exactly. He made it. Of course, now it's let people to think, oh, Heat Vision could do it. Oh, Superman killed all those people in the new movie. No.
Yeah, well, here's the other thing is that if people complained, particularly after in Superman and Lois, he let his son like shoot his Heat Vision into his hands. And I go, that's a different version. You can't hold every version of Superman to the same rules.
Exactly.
It's like, no, this one is more dangerous. That one's... You just can't do that. That's not the way this works.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But when people do that, it's like, guys, it's not A to A.
And then here's the other thing. When you look at comparatively the destruction, the military blows up more Smallville than Superman does. Let's face it.
True.
They basically do bombing runs. But I love the shot of the cruise missile launches. And you just see the shot of like Feora holding her hand up to stop it.
Yep, and of course, like evolution always wins.
And I love where Feora goes, you will not win. For every human you save, we'll kill 1,000,000 more. And I go, oh my God.
Yep.
They felt scary. And when you see like Feora take out the squad of Army Rangers and how fast she goes.
And her just leaping, them both leaping right at them.
Yeah, when you see the speed from the human perspective, it's one thing to like see everything slow down, like with Barry Allen, the Snyder Cut. But with this, when you see it from like a human perspective, how it seems like she's teleporting and like going really fast, I go, yeah, I don't want to fight a Kryptonian. But so Teladia, what did you think of the Smallville fight?
I thought that was epic.
Yeah,
like it was really epic scene. I thought the whole Non versus Superman was cool, but then at the end is like, when they throw the train, and then afterwards it's like, this man is not our enemy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like
that was the part where I think he really became Superman, because like
yeah,
that's when the world accepts him really, because the German goes, nope, stand down. This man is not.
Yeah, Malone. Yeah, Malone was great in this movie.
Oh yeah, he was great. It's like I feel like he could have played General Lane, but I get he was playing an original character. That's fine.
Well, and he would have been too young.
Yeah, Cameron says also, I love that Zack established that Zod and his minions don't automatically know how to. Yeah, that's really cool, because that would have been a logical inconsistency. Like they're here and all of a sudden they can fight. They're still like, let me put this way, they still are badasses, but they have significant difficulties doing this. And then so the Zod and his people return to their ship, a momentary distraction. And then and then they drop the world engine. At the same time, Superman and Lois and the military show up, and then they're like, I love this scene. I love where the general we're like, essentially John Jones is talking to like the soldier, and they go, and this is the first time we hear him called Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that. And then their plan is they're going to essentially use his ship as a bomb, and to launch it back into the Phantom, to launch Zod and his forces back into the Phantom Zone. This is the moment where
that's straight out of Last Son.
Yeah, this is the moment where I learned that Warner Brothers are freaking morons. Like, and David Goyer was very clear about this. He said when they got to that scene in the script, they go, oh, you shouldn't blow up his baby ship. How is he supposed to get back to Krypton? And
Here's what I think it was.
Goyer literally said, you read the script. It blows up in the first 10 seconds of the movie.
Again, my guess is whoever read it said that was thinking of the Abrams script.
Which is scary if they didn't even read this script. But it's like, oh, God. But anyway, so Superman goes to fight the world engine. Here's the other really good Superman part, where Lois asks, if you're close to that thing and it has like Kryptonian's atmosphere, won't you be weak? And he goes, I think so, but I'm not about to let that stop me.
Yep.
You know, like, that is super. And I love where he goes, you might want to take a step back. How about a little more? He just takes off. I'm like, that is Superman, baby. That's the thing. Zack does not get enough credit for what he did. He gets all the crap, but no one gives him enough credit for what he did.
I agree. I thought it was very good.
Yeah. And then we get the fight on the world engine, and then we get the Zod attacking Metropolis scene. And this was the scene that really sold me on this version of Superman, because it's like, so a building falls because of the world engine, and Jenny, who everyone thought would be Jimmy, Lombard and Perry. Jenny's trapped in a building, and Perry and Lombard are trying to get her out. At the same time, Superman is having his ass kicked by the world engine. Then it throws him underneath the beam that's essentially launching the gravity of a planet at him, a la Superman Earth 1.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's my theory about this. Again, it's not confirmed, but it's a theory. So what had happened was, and Dave, yes, I think that when the Snyder Cut came out, the actor did confirm that, like, at that moment, Zack's like, yeah, he's Martian Manhunter. Anyway, so when Jenny screams, first off, Perry's holding her hand. He's not leaving her, knowing he's going to die at this moment. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly like that.
That was Perry. That I would say was Perry.
And then she screams. Here's my theory. You guys know how Superman has a super hearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
My theory is Superman heard her screaming, and that motivated him to like fight through the like gravity.
Yeah, because it's going right through the other side. Of course, he'll be able to hear it. He probably wouldn't. He would probably had a hard time hearing it if it wasn't for that straight line.
Yeah, and he's like, this is what happens if I lose. These people die, and then he just takes off and goes right through the world engine.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then you have the music and everything's swelling, and I go, yeah. See, here's the thing. They treated Superman in this movie like, not necessarily like he was a comic book character, but like he was a character out of like mythology more so than like previous versions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because Reaver's still treated. Yes, they did go mythological in some elements, but it was a lot of like comic booky parts in there. But with this, it's like more of like American mythology. But so then at the same time, so the world engine is taken out. Hardy and Lois are in the cargo plane trying to bomb the Zod ship, and I like this part where I like the part where Feora reappears. She jumps on the plane. She's like attacking people in the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zod's about to shoot the plane down. Superman crashes in. And then Zod says, if you destroy this ship, you're destroying Krypton. And then Superman says, Krypton had a chance. I love that line.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like heat visions the whole thing. The ship crash lands. And then Superman saves Lois. As the black hole like swallows as the Phantom Zone portal swallows all of Zod's forces. Now, and I get people complaining about making out in the metal of the destroyed city. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a little bit overdone, but in terms of like overhated. But that's just me. So Zod shows up, and here's the thing. This is where they start setting up the kill, because Zod says, I only had one purpose, protecting Krypton, and you took that from me. I will make Earth suffer, Cal. I will take every single human from you one by one.
And I'll say this. I've said this before. I said this when we had our big discussion before. I do not blame the execution.
Yeah.
It was very in character and everything.
Yeah, and we'll get into that, because for some reason people forget that Superman has killed Zod.
Oh yeah,
a bunch of times in the comics. I don't think it's many, but it's a lot. It's more than one.
Right, this would have been the second time.
Yeah, it's more than one. So I'm like, guys, come on.
Yeah.
And then we get the Metropolis fight. And here's the thing. Here's where my issues come in. Not with the movie, but the way people perceive it. Because so many people, including creatives like Mark Waid, complain about the destruction. But when they write Superman getting into fights in the city, it's that level. Come on. I'm like, it's like, I'm like, you wrote Kingdom Come, bro.
Yes, but here's the thing. Here's this.
Yeah, go ahead.
When a lot of the comic writers write it, they're able to have the artwork make it clear. Like, for example, are there people nearby? Are they not? What's going on? Things like that. And there's always that assumption that, like, unless they make very clear that there was death, bodies everywhere, that they survived, that no one died and everything. When you do it with live action, it's kind of hard to get to juggle that.
Yeah, but
that is the big difference.
But then it's like there's no. But here's the problem. They actually don't explain that, like, a lot of these places are evacuated or deserted. They just have people going through buildings, and oftentimes there are people in those buildings. But it's like the level of destruction criticism that, like, Mark Waid and all these guys have. I'm like, bro, you wrote Birthright. Half of Metropolis was blown up in that.
Well, look, here's what. Wait a minute.
Anyway, continue.
Sorry.
Continue on, Robert.
I was gonna say oh yeah, but it's like here that is like, why was Hulk? Did you know what's been revealed that Hulk, despite all the destruction, has a very minuscule body count? Mm-hmm. Did you know that in the comics?
Yeah.
But you know the reason why? They actually gave an explanation why. Mm-hmm. Bruce is always calculating, even subconsciously. The only time Hulk is ever killed when Bruce is either shut down or removed from the Hulk. And yet, but people can accept that. Most people do. But unfortunately, after Ultimates, where Hulk actually made clear he destroyed all these and killed people and a huge body count, after that, people just assume Hulk has killed people left and right, when it's like, no, he hasn't.
Yeah, but again, it's like with this, it's like, Superman is not responsible for all its destruction. It's Zod. And second, and it's like, here's the thing. It's like, again, no one complains when, like, in like Birthright, there's like buildings being destroyed. Yes, Superman saves people in that. That's fine. I get that. But, like, no one complained about the destruction of the comics when that's equal to the destruction in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Look, like I keep saying, my argument, because I cannot deny, what was done was really good.
Mm-hmm.
My argument is the choice of going with it, especially in your kickoff to your cinematic universe movie.
But again, A, they didn't know at the time it was going to be a kickoff to the cinematic universe. And B, this is, again, when you're taking into account the world that this is in, that makes 100% sense that when you have gods punching each other in a city, this is going. And also, I see people complaining all the time that Superman did not try and bring the fight somewhere else. He literally did multiple times, but Zod kept bringing it back to Earth.
Right, but like I said, I'm just giving again.
Yeah.
I'm reiterating my stance.
Yeah.
My stance is the problem. The problem is the story that was chosen. It's my problem. It's not the execution or anything else. That's why it's so complicated for me with this movie.
But here's the thing. Remember, this movie was put into this version of the movie was made because WB wanted Nolan to make a grounded Superman movie like he did with Batman.
Oh, and I get that.
This is the only way to do it, people.
Oh yeah, that I can agree with as well.
It would be one thing if the villain of this movie was like Toyman or Parasite. Then yeah, the destruction's a little.
Oh no.
excessive.
Oh yeah. And again, I'm not arguing that.
Yeah, but it's like too many people complain about this. Like, there's never been mass destruction in a Superman movie or in this.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I'm sorry I have to get going.
Oh, it's all good, dude. I will see you around. Bye-bye. Rate Man of Steel out of 10.
What do I rank it? I would give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. That's fine.
Yeah, I will still give it a 7. I do rank it beneath 2025. Not by much, but like...
It's a Krypton better.
Yep. But like I said, for my issues, it's complicated. It's a complicated viewpoint on this movie. I am not one of those who simply say, it sucks, or, oh my God, it's the greatest, the second coming of Citizen Kane or anything. I'm not one of those extremes. The movie is really good. I'm not happy with the decisions.
Okay, and that's totally valid, Robert. That's totally valid.
Okay, you know that's the majority of my issues. It's the decisions that they went into, and it's like they just shouldn't have done the decisions.
Okay, I'll give you that. All
right, see you guys.
Anyway, Robert, I will see you around.
Hey,
so anyway,
Robert.
Teladia, so what did you think of the Zod fight itself?
It was epic on a grander scale. It was like, because remember, I watched this at the theaters, and for a first time watching a Superman movie at the theater, it was like mind blowing, right? So the experience of seeing Superman and Zod fighting in Metropolis and seeing the destruction, and it was like epic. And I'm just like thinking, it just reminds me of Injustice, you know,
except good.
Except, you know, I'm gonna let you get away with that because it's your show, but
you know I hate Injustice for Teladia. Come on.
Yeah, I know you do, but when it comes down to, because it makes me want to like play it because you get to play as Zod in that as well. Funnily enough, so
yeah, and this version of Zod.
In this version of Zod, yeah. So it's like. It was really epic, and honestly, I wish there was like more like extended cut to this.
Yeah, I kind of wish that too. That would be good. Like release the Snyder cut of Man of Steel. Oh my gosh, we should start that hashtag. I'm only kidding, but yeah. So the fight ends with Superman having Zod in a headlock, and Zod's about to kill a family. The family's paralyzed by fear. That's very important because people are like, why didn't the family move? They're paralyzed by fear, and then it's essentially Superman keeps telling Zod, "Don't do this. Don't stop. Do not do this." And he goes, I'm never going to stop. And then Superman, unfortunately, has to snap Zod's neck. And then he even screams afterwards. So I'm like, guys, come on. It's not like he just killed him and went, ha, 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 I'm murdering.
I'm murdering man. No, he's not murdering man.
Yeah, exactly. So then the movie cuts to like a couple of days, and then I love this. He crashes the drone, and then I love where Swanwick is like, "Are you effing stupid? That's that's a $1 million drone." And Superman goes, "It was." I love that, and he goes,
I know. I
Yeah,
know
go ahead.
you wanna. I know where you wanna find where I hang my cape. You
You won't.
never will.
Yeah, I
I,
love that. And then I dig where like Superman goes, "I'm here to help, but it has to be on my own terms." And he goes, "How do I know
yeah.
you won't operate against America's interests?" And he goes, "I grew up in Kansas, General. I'm as American as you can get, but I'm here to
Mhm.
help, but it has to be on my terms." Which I love that, and he establishes boundaries, and then he takes off, and then I love Ferris in this movie, who's the general's aide. Teladia, do you know who Ferris is in the comics? I wonder if it's this character.
Carol Ferris.
Carol Ferris, exactly. So I'm wondering, is that Carol Ferris? But I'm like, that would be kind of interesting if you retcons that's Hal Jordan's girlfriend. I'm like, oh, Hal Jordan exists in this universe, which he does if you watch the whiteboards. And then we see the scene of like it's essentially a flashback scene of like Jonathan Kent watching Superman play with the dog, it's not Crypto. They actually established that the dog's name is Rusty, and you see him. He's in the he has a cape around his neck, and as soon as he puts his hands on his hips like this, you hear like a boom, as if they're trying to like emphasize this scene. And then I love so what are you going to do when you're not just saving the world? And Superman goes, well, I'm going to need a job where I can keep my ear to the ground and where I can go to dangerous places and no one will like suspect. And then he shows up at the Daily Planet, and I love where Lois goes, welcome to the planet. And then Superman goes, happy to be here, Lois. And then he smiles again. I want to emphasize this because Superman does smile. And then Man of Steel. Anyway, this is still my favorite Superman movie, like by far. I tolerated most of like the James Gunn Superman movie, but this one is the one where yes, and Cameron says, "F anybody that says this movie had no color, it has color." It's because a lot of people are well, not a lot of people. The fans that say that are superficial and that they want the comic books to the coloring to be like completely like blasting the screen, kind of like somewhat what James Gunn did, but he didn't do it obnoxiously, is what I mean. But it's like, so Teladia, your general thoughts on Man of Steel?
I really love this film.
Mm-hmm.
I still rank it above the Superman film of this year, but just by a little bit of a margin.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only was this my very first Superman film that I saw at the theater with my mom, but it gave me a whole new experience of a more grounded Superman. So
Yeah.
so it was like, that's why I have to give this just a little bit, but not by much.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of a of a Superman film.
Yeah. And then I would say, yeah, and the cinematography in this movie is fan-freaking-tastic. But in terms of like, so where does this rank among Superman movies for you? I know it's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question. Obviously, I would put Christopher Reeve's Superman, Superman the movie is number one.
Okay.
That's for sure. And the Donna cut number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would put this as number 3.
Mm-hmm. So this above James Gunn's movie.
I know what you're trying to do.
No, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to trap you. I'm just wondering on that.
Yeah, it'd still be above James Gunn's Superman. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
and to be clear, you could still like James Gunn's Superman. I still like a lot of it. It's just there are some elements that make Man of Steel instantly superior for me.
I just feel for a grounded take, it was like, and the experience I had for the first time compared to this time, it's two different experiences. So
Yeah, and it's like, and you know, it's really funny how much of like the absolute Superman you definitely feel in this. And I'm like, I know that I
Yeah.
know this came up before Absolute Superman, but there's no way Jason Aaron did not look to this movie as like some inspiration on stuff. I'm like, this is too much a lot, and that's like a lot of the Absolute books, and it's like a lot of like Grant Morrison's action comics in this that you and I have gone over on your channel. But there's a lot of really good stuff in here. But overall, I rate this movie about an 8 out of 10. I personally think. How about you?
Yeah, about an 8 or a 9.6
Okay,
out
I'll
of
give you
10.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think it's a good place to leave it. So next week on movie night, we'll be covering Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, the extended cut, obviously. Assume that when we cover BVS and Justice League, it's going to be the good versions of the movie.
A question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be covering Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman?
Yeah, it's every DCEU movie.
Okay.
So yeah, and to the Suicide Squad, we'll cover the extended cut because the Ayer cut hasn't been released yet. We're just going to go off of like the most extended version we have.
Okay.
And stuff. So yeah, it'll be BVS next week, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, ZSJL, and then Aquaman, and then continuing down the line.
Okay. There's a lot of questions I gotta ask you after the stream. So
Yeah. No problem. But as for Comics League, at midnight, Britt and I will be going live to interview Jason Lewis, who is the voice of Superman in Justice League Action. So be on the lookout for that if you guys are up that late. And for Amazon Answers tomorrow, I'm gonna be discussing the G. Willow Wilson run for Wonder Woman. And for Wonder Woman Wednesday, I'm thinking of doing a video talking about the mythology behind the Amazons, like the actual mythological Amazons. I'll look into that. But and for Under Two Capes, we're going to be talking about Aliens versus Avengers. So Teladia, but I wonder if the Ayer cut will eventually be released as if in the DCU. I don't think they'll edit it. I don't think so. I think when they release it, it'll be like as it's intended to be. All right, so Teladia, where can we find you and what we got coming on your channel?
you guys can check me out on YouTube at oh yeah, they can't see my account. So you guys can check me out on YouTube at Teladia Plays. And if you want to follow me on social media on X, which is at Teladia Plays _ on X, what I got coming up on my channel is I'm going to be doing Absolute Reports, and it's going to be called Absolute Gods and Monsters with Jared, as we're going to be covering quite a lot of issues for the Trinity. And also on top of that, I got some videos planned for some gaming stuff, including 007 First Light, and I might even talk about the Lego Batman game and
Hell yeah,
why I believe 100 skins is incredible for this game, and do I think there's going to be 100 Batmobiles? So I'm going to talk about that in a video, I think.
Hell yeah. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane, except in this movie. She belongs to General Zod. That could not be more ironic right now. And Steve Trevor belongs at the bottom of a hydraulic press. So is the Max About for Life. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.